This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
All right, we are back with the Practice Squad live in our new time slot. I don't want to call it permanent, Stroz. That feels like maybe a little inaccurate.
Definitely don't call it permanent.
But we are trying to keep it as close to this. This will be the time for now, is what I would say. Obviously, and before we get too deep into this, Stroz, did you see this? Did you see this tweeted yet? Are we officially on Twitter? Because I do not see it yet.
We're on Twitter.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Okay,
I've got the stream up.
But obviously, if you've seen my Twitter, I've started a new job. That's the reason for this time switch. Obviously, Stroz, sometime in the near future, you're probably going to be starting to work again soon. So we'll have to adjust on the fly. But for now, it's going to be 5 o'clock, and we're going to keep it on Thursdays. Today's going to be short, so Stroz on vacation, taking advantage of his time off like I was doing a couple weeks ago. So, and we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about where Stroz is and why there are some things he might not like about it. But first, I don't know if we've totally done this before. We are like just completely ignoring Detroit sports. I don't know if we've ever had a show where we completely ignore Detroit sports. I think the most interesting story by far in sports right now is whether or not we're going to get a baseball season. And by the way, you could also say it's that basketball is officially coming back. When we planned the show, that hadn't happened yet, but we'll probably deal with that as we get closer to an actual return. But Stroz, I don't think we're getting baseball, man.
Yeah, so when you presented this to me, because you were super fired up when we started talking about this, you were like, there's no way we're having a baseball season. And I was like, I kind of feel different. And then the more and more I started reading about this, so we could come together and we could talk about this and me not sound like a total idiot. It's cool that I sound stupid some of the times, but I do
mostly
some research for some things. Right. Or the Detroit Lions. You know, my football opinions are my own. They do not reflect this podcast. But you are dead set that there is going to be zero baseball
it's
season.
Funny,
and
I shifted the other way, more towards the middle. That being said, I still feel fairly strongly that we're not going to get baseball.
See, it's weird because when we talked about it, I was like, oh, yeah, we're going to have a baseball season. It'll probably be 82 games. Everybody's going to come together. They're going to get this worked out. Going into this podcast, I think I've more shifted to the middle, too, where I'm kind of like, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to have one. We might not. Deep down, I'm still holding out hope, and I still believe that there will be one, just because I don't know if baseball can handle another season blown, whether it be due to a strike or whether it be due to a work stoppage or whether it be due to a pandemic. I don't think baseball can handle another blow.
Now, here's the thing. I think, like, when you say handle another blow, I don't think there's any doubt baseball will survive if they miss a season. Like, if they miss a season, when baseball comes back, people are going to come back. But I've had this discussion with other people. I don't think anyone stops watching baseball because they're mad that a season was missed. Like, that's not going to happen. What could happen is the person who doesn't really care that much about baseball and throws it on for background noise, that person might find something else. And I'm actually not super familiar with this person. IG Griffin Sports, GR Griffin Sports. Gut feeling, no baseball. Players seem dug in. I agree with that. I don't think the players are going to move from the stance that they will take anything less than a prorated salary. And the reason that I've come a little bit more towards the middle is the idea that the owners would be willing to have a very short season, prorated, like 50 or 60 games. We know the players want more than 50 or 60 games, but I think that is the one shot.
114.
Yeah, but that is the one shot that I think is going to happen. I just don't think the players are definitely dug in about the idea that they need to be shown some proof of how much loss this would be before they would take more than prorated, and the owners aren't going to give them that. Like, I'm sorry, find me the billionaire who's happy to open his books. You're not going to find one. These owners are not going to do what it takes to get the players to take a pay cut off of proration. So the question comes down to, can they agree on an amount of games to be played? And I believe technically ownership has the ability from the last agreement that they made to make a unilateral decision and say, hey, we're playing a 50-game season. So that's the one route that I guess I could see happening. But I think that's best case scenario. I think best case scenario is owners say, look, sorry, we tried, which is BS. They didn't try. We tried to come to an agreement. We couldn't do it. You guys are going to play a 50-game season on a prorated salary.
And it seems like the owners want less games while the players do want more games. Like we just talked about, the players did just submit a new proposal for a 114-game season. It's weird because you're absolutely right when you said that the owners seem like they really haven't tried. They haven't really tried to come to the table in good faith and negotiate with the players. And the players are dug in. The players don't want to give anymore. They've already agreed to a prorated salary.
I don't think either side is trying to negotiate, to be honest with you. I think both sides feel very strongly that they're in the right. Or I don't know if owners necessarily believe that they're in the right, but they just know they're not willing to give anymore. And I don't think owners want a shortened season. I think what the owners are saying is for every game we play, we're going to lose money. So if we're going to lose money, we're going to have as short of a season as we possibly can. We're not going to have no season, but we're going to keep it short. And if that's the way the player or the owners decide to go, if the owners just do decide to dig in and say, look, it's a 50-game season, prorated salary, that's what you're getting. Then I think you play this fun game of star players going, I'm kind of scared, for my health. Well, what are you going to do? You're going to force them to come back in that scenario? Like how? Yep. And you know what? It's BS and it's playing games. I don't want to say nobody would be scared, but I don't think the vast majority of baseball players are actually scared. But I mean, that's what this whole thing is. I think it's a lot. It's people on both sides who have no interest in coming to the middle. Honestly, it's basically politics. Whether or not we get the return of baseball is politics.
Paulie says no one is trying to negotiate at all. I just think the season doesn't happen because of that. And there's a good possibility that it doesn't happen because both sides are so dug in right now. My big concern is you're a little bit younger than me, B. I'm going to be 37 in June. All right, I'll be 37 later on this month. I've gone through strikes. And when I was a kid, I enjoyed baseball. I still enjoy baseball, just not to the level I used to enjoy baseball. I don't know if the sport itself could handle what not having a season will do to the fan base. So a lot of times when you have these strikes, fan bases just disappear. They don't come back. And the big issue here with the owners, and I think they're failing to see this, they're arguing for revenue. Their issue is we're not going to get the revenue because we're not going to have the fans in the stands. Well, if you cut your season short or you don't have a season at all, how many fans do you push away that never come back? Because you still have fans who after the 94 strike haven't come back. So what happens there?
Mark on Twitter also says, no, he doesn't believe we get a season either. So I believe right now that is, I think we're 3 for 3 on comments. He says anything less than 82 games, he wouldn't consider a season anyways. I guess what I want to ask you, because you're right. The only strike that I really recall was the 2003 NHL strike. And to be honest with you, I mean, I was a big hockey fan prior to that, but I stuck around. I guess what I would ask you is if a season is missed and you're saying fans aren't going to come back, why is that? Is that out of principle? Because I'm going to be honest with you, Stroz, I think most people aren't as principled as they think they are. I don't think anyone goes, I'm done with baseball because I'm mad at them. Nobody leaves for that reason.
I think there becomes a frustration with the fan base where if I'm trying to remember what took place in 1994, why that was so devastating to Major League Baseball's fan base.
Took place in 1994.
You're so young. But there was this, I just remember fans not coming back, and it was just because it's all over money. So in this case, you've got, again, billionaires arguing with millionaires, and they're squabbling over pennies on the dollar to them, which I think to a fan base that has to pay a fortune to go watch them play, has to pay a fortune for a jersey, has to pay a fortune for any type of memorabilia, has to pay a fortune just to get in the stadium to stand and watch. I think it comes down to that. It's more of a dollars and cents. And I think what happens is you alienate your fan base, and that becomes a huge overriding issue with it. I just
don't think people leave for that reason. I think it's not good for the sport, obviously, but I think it's more of it just becomes an after. What it is more than anything for baseball is a missed opportunity. We're all dying for any sport, just anything. Mm-hmm.
And baseball, if they could get their ducks in a row,
they should be the fastest back. They should be the fastest back. And I think that's almost becoming entirely out of the question.
Paulie says people don't come back if baseball is a routine to them. and they can't get back into that routine. So kind of like your daily routine of waking up every morning. You turn on the TV at 7:05. The Detroit Tigers are playing. You're going to sit down and watch.
The only reason I would push back on that is because baseball's not on 365 days a year. Baseball isn't your routine year long, so you already get in and out of that routine. Now, if something else takes its place, that's a little bit different. I also do, before we get into Stroz, where you're on vacation and one of the problems you have with the place you are, I want to get into just like not having baseball, because you've come more to the middle. We're not going to fight on this the way that maybe we thought we were when we set it up, but like, how much does it hurt you if we don't have baseball? Because can I be honest with you?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
I want to say something. So, and I meant to get into this at the very beginning of the show and got thrown off when I didn't see this on Twitter. I'm now working in Houston sports radio, and obviously the Astros are a big deal. And so in that sense, like not getting, like I'm going to be watching a significant amount more Houston sports than I would have been ever in my life. So in that sense, like having an entire year missed where I don't get to like experience watching and learning this team would suck. Like from a professional standpoint, but from an entertainment standpoint, like it sucks. I like baseball because of the timing of the NBA's return. I think I can live without it. And that almost sounds like I like feel dirty saying that. I actually feel like I'm going to get attacked for saying that. But the thing is, like, the plan for the basketball return, the season's not even going to be done until October, right? I'm going to have football by then.
And football.
Yeah, so I don't like baseball. I've said it on the show before, and I've said it for a really long time. Honestly, credit to my dad. He was the first one who said it to me, but he was right. Baseball, for me, more than anything, is a bridge. Like, I need my baseball team to be good. Unfortunately, the Tigers haven't done that in a while. I need them to be good until football season starts. Like, once I get to the start of football season, like, if you could just give me a Tigers team that's relevant until August or September, and of course, being in Houston and caring about them now, obviously I'd have that with the Astros. But like, if you can just give me a baseball team to care about until September, that's all I really need. Well, in this case, I get to care about basketball that late. So like, that's where I think it hurts the MLB, right? It hurts the MLB because it doesn't hurt me.
I think that's a great point, because I think a lot of us, especially when your baseball team is bad, use it as a bridge to get you to that next sport. A prime example, right? We're going to talk about what I'm doing on vacation. Went out to eat last night, and while out to eat, they had NFL Network on, and they were going through the 100 greatest games, and I found myself engrossed in what was going on TV just because it was sports. These are games that either I have seen over the course of my lifetime or are so damn old, it doesn't even matter. But I was interested in what was taking place. And I was interested in what was unfolding in front of me just because it's sports. So I think you're right. I don't think my personal loss of baseball will be minimized. It won't be a whole lot, because the way things have situated themselves now, you've got the NBA, you're going to have the NHL. And then by the time those two are done, you will have football. And I believe football is going to go on. I believe football is going to go the way football wants to go. And it's not going to really be impacted by a whole lot of anything. But baseball is going to kind of get squeezed out here. And really, truly, it's their own fault, because we're so starved for sports. Baseball could have totally capitalized on this. I mean, the other night I was watching Korean baseball. Have you watched any of this Korean baseball? It's horrible.
What time is it on? I've seen people tweeting about it.
It's on at like 12 or 1 in the morning.
So now, I don't know if...
Now that you're working,
I don't know if this show knows this about me. Like, I don't know if the people watching with us or listening to the podcast know this about me. But, like, you're not going to meet many grown-ass adults who value their sleep more than I do. I am not okay with going to bed and knowing I'm going to get less than 7 hours. I'm really trying to get 8. So even though I don't wake up till 9, I'm not watching sports at midnight. Football's the one time I'll sometimes make an exception.
You are an interesting character for sure. like you watch CW shows. You value your beauty sleep.
Hold on.
It's so weird.
Hold on.
Such a weird dude. It's great.
You know why?
I'm normally the strangest guy in the group, but you are different.
Do you want to know why I'm different, Stroz? And I don't mean this as like this. This almost sounds like a jackass. I think the reason I'm so different is because I'm authentic, And everyone says that, but I mean, like, I'm not afraid to let you know I like CW shows. I'm not afraid to tell you I need my 8 hours of sleep. Like, I think there are more people who relate to me and hide those things. You know what I mean? Like, I know there's somebody watching or listening back who likes themselves some Vampire Diaries.
I don't know about all that. But hey,
if you like
want a good show on
Diaries,
CW,
you want to DM me, you don't got to put it out publicly. I won't share it with anybody.
I meant to tell you this a couple weeks ago because I did finish the series that is on CW. It's called, I think it's called After Dark. It's about some blind chick who tries to solve this murder, and she runs into a little bit of a kerfuffle from the local drug dealer. So you should check that out.
We have gone so far off the rails, but this is somewhere I want to be for a moment. Before I ask anything else, that blind chick, she's the main character.
Yes.
Tell me this. She's hot as hell, isn't she?
Yeah, she's pretty
CW
hot.
shows.
She's a hot mess too, which makes it better.
CW shows, like, everybody, men and women, they like only hire good-looking people. Obviously, all actors and actresses tend to be good-looking, but like CW especially, like, you can hate on me all you want, but I know what I'm doing. A comment from if you want me to call you something different, please let me know and I'll do it. I'm just gonna go with Griffin Sports. Griffin Sports. He said he loses mind if the NFL didn't have a season. MLB, if it's on, okay. If not, meh. Yeah, I wouldn't say meh. I'd be disappointed, but I could definitely live without it. Can I make?
And I think that's how a majority of of sports fans are. If it's there, great. If it's not, okay.
Can I make a?
We've got basketball. We've got hockey. We've got football coming.
Can I make a brief case?
Please.
That as a Tigers fan, not having a season is almost nice because the years still come off the contracts. It kind of like it still counts in my mind as a year of rebuild without having to suffer through a year of trash. I don't know if that's fair, but that's like in a sense, like it feels fair.
IG Griffins or
See what I mean?
Wants to be known as Greg. So we'll call him Greg.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Greg. Appreciate that.
Because I think he's making a play on Griffin Sports, but he's also capitalized GR.
It's Grand Rapids.
Right. So I was struggling, but we'll call him Greg.
Yeah, call him Greg.
I think that'll do it for the MLB talk. If you want to weigh in after the fact, if you're listening to the podcast and not watching live with us, you can do so at Brendan Riley _ at Adam R. Stroz. We'd love to go back and forth with you on the MLB. Will we have a season? Do you care if we have a season? And again, for now, the live time of the show, if you want to catch it on Twitter, 5 o'clock Eastern time. But Stroz, you're on vacation. Tell everyone where you're at and tell them your problem with it.
So I am in St. Ignace, basically Mackinac. I've never been to Mackinac City or Mackinac Island. I've been to Mackinac City, I think twice now in the last 2 days, just driving back and forth over the bridge.
Have you been to the island before?
I've never been to the island. And I don't think I'm going to be able to get there this time around, just kind of the way things have kind of played out. My big issue is when I go out on vacation, right? I was supposed to go on vacation back in April. It was supposed to be like right after my sister's wedding. Coronavirus shut it all down, right? I was supposed to go to Cancun. I was supposed to go to an all-inclusive. And generally when I go on vacation, I go hard. It's a lot of drinking. It's a lot of hanging out in the pool. It's a lot of making friends, shaking hands, kissing babies. It's usually a great time.
I believe, hold on, important question. Have you ever kissed a stranger's baby?
Twice.
I don't think anybody else has done that, but when I asked that, I only asked because I figured the answer was yes.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely yes. So I usually, when I go, like I said, I go hard. I've ended up in Quiet City, USA. I hate going on vacation to quiet cities. I enjoy Traverse City. I think Traverse City is great. Traverse City, they roll the sidewalk up at 9 o'clock. There's zero nightlife. It sucks. After the sun goes down, it absolutely blows. St. Ignace is very, very similar. At 9 o'clock, roll the sidewalk up. It's all shutting down. There is nothing to do. Absolutely nothing to do. I was lucky enough to get back to my hotel last night and was able to get a nightcap before 10 o'clock and have that drink.
Okay, I feel like this is a very crucial question. Mm-hmm. If you hate quiet cities, why are you there?
So the whole thing was, this was one of those like last second, let's just do it because I'm collecting unemployment right now.
You know I get that.
I don't have to. Yeah, I don't have to work. Why the hell not? You know what I'm saying?
But why
then
there?
On top of all that, you have the world imploding all around you.
Be a quiet city
Guess where the world's
now?
not imploding at? The world's not imploding in the UP.
Ugh. I've been to Traverse City.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that I've ever been anywhere else that I would call a quiet city. You want to talk about me being a little unusual? I think somewhere that I'm unusual is my vacations. Like, I kind of I think most people go on vacations, and I think you're one of these people, and they come back drained, man. Like, they're way more tired than when they went.
I usually need a day to recover when I get back from vacation. I
still want a day to recover. Like, I want an extra day off. But, like, I don't know. Like, when I went to Seattle a little over a year ago by myself, like, I had wanted to see Seattle forever. There were so many things that I wanted to see, and I didn't see everything I wanted. And it wasn't because I didn't have the money. I didn't, but I still would have spent it. It wasn't because I didn't have extra time. It's because, like, I just kind of wanted to chill some, you know? Like, I enjoy taking my time and relaxing. I know, like, a lot of people, it's like, you're never going to be at the hotel room anyways. I'm like, nah, man, like, I want to lay down and hang out a little bit. And I'll say this, very important factor of whether or not a quiet city is good for a vacation. Are you there by yourself? I don't think a quiet city for vacation by yourself makes a ton of sense. I know a lot of people won't vacation by themselves. Hell, I wouldn't have until about a year ago. If you're there by yourself, it's kind of tough. Like, no one wants to be in bed in the hotel by themselves by 9 o'clock. You know what I mean? But, like, if you're there with other people or other person or whatever, like, I think a quiet city can be fine. You have your fun during the day, and then you figure out your plans at night amongst yourselves.
I totally get what you're saying. I'm not here by myself, so it makes it a little bit different. You're right. But this is what I'm going to tell you, okay? I'm going to give you an example of the difference in this vacation and my last vacation. My last vacation I went to Jamaica. I went there for a buddy's wedding. All right. We stayed at a Sandals. It was all inclusive. 2 days before I left, I had 4 bottles of champagne at the pool. I made so many friends with everybody. I turned the pool into a rap video. I was shaking champagne up. I was dumping it on chicks. I was feeding old men champagne, just pouring it out the bottle.
And it's important to recognize that when Stroz says these things, he's not making, like, jokes. These are things he was actually doing.
This was real life. It looked like a rap video. It was great. It was so much fun. Last night, I go in and they're like, yeah, so we're getting ready to close. Like, cool. Can I get one? Just give me a bourbon on the rocks. Throw a lime in it. I'll leave you alone.
How would we vacation together? How would it go?
I would get you so out of your comfort zone. It would be a blast. Like, honestly, we would be like the odd couple. We would be the odd couple. It would be great.
So here's the thing. Getting out of your comfort zone is good. But, like, I think you can only get, like, you got to be careful. If you would get me as far out of my comfort zone as you think you would, I don't know if I would call it a blast. I might call it regret.
Dude, no regrets. No regrets. Look, this is the one thing I found. Live life for the story. Remember we did the podcast about how I got shot?
Yes.
He's like,
yes.
Live life for the story, bro.
If we ever go anywhere together and you get me shot, this podcast is done.
I'll never get you shot. I'll jump in front of that. You'll never take that bullet. Don't worry. I got your back all day, 24/7. I don't know. 365.
I don't know if we ever talked about it on here, but I know obviously a large portion of our listenership is familiar with Jim Costa, and me and him went to Chicago together. And that asshole never wants to stop walking. I swear to God, like, my feet didn't exist by the end of the time we were there. Like, I had a good time, but after that, I was like, man, you kind of need to be conscious of who you go places with. Like, because, like, we just wanted to do, like, don't get me wrong, like, I wanted to do a little running too. We just did too much. For me, not for him, obviously. Like, I remember the first, I think we stayed a Friday and Saturday night, which is a lot in Chicago. We woke up Saturday morning after drinking Friday night. I didn't feel like trash, but I was definitely not doing hot. And we walked like a mile and a half to a breakfast place that had like an hour and a half wait. So then we walked like a mile and a half. No, we didn't. You know what we did? We walked like 3 feet to the bar that was there and had the worst breakfast you could possibly have in Chicago because I just walked a mile and a half for this amazing breakfast place I didn't even get to eat. And it was just like,
that sounds horrible.
Yeah. I mean, at least yours.
See, I'm never going to do that. But look, I'll never do that to you. I'll never do that to you. And Paulie says he was paid to watch a movie based around you and I.
I'll say this.
It'd be such a good time.
Paul, you'd probably be surprised at the level of partier I can be. I actually think I've probably toned down in the last. So I got asked this literally today by a new coworker. He asked if I like going out and drinking. And I like have told people, like new people, whenever that kind of discussion comes up, like I love it. I love going out drinking, going to the bar. You clearly haven't had it. I feel like most people at some point in their life have that night they regret so much that like it reins them in a little bit. You haven't had that, have you? Or are you a reined in version?
I think this is the reined in version. So hold on. A couple like just I'm gonna give you like 3 different snippets of different stories. There was one night I got dropped off at my house. I had to climb. It was a 2-story flat I lived on.
My stories and your stories are
stairs.
I'm like, here's my wild story. Haven't told it yet. I'm going to. And it's gonna be such garbage compared to yours. Go ahead.
I climbed up my stairs. I didn't make it out of my, like, you climbed up and you walked into my kitchen. I ended up passing out in front of my pantry. And the next morning I woke up, I ended up shitting my pants. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. I just did it.
I don't know.
I have no clue.
You know how it happens. It's not that hard to figure out.
I mean, I don't know what happened. I was a mess. Then let's see what else. There was, what was the other story I was going to tell you? There was the one time I went out with my buddy Jeff. We were downtown. And I don't know what happened. Like, one thing led to another. We were sitting at the bar. We were over at Red Smoke, sitting at the bar. We sat down next to this couple. We're talking to this guy and this girl. Girl's really attractive. She gets up to go to the bathroom. I look at my buddy. I was like, I got to go to the bathroom too. And he was like, okay. Next thing you know, I'm making out with this chick while her man's up at the bar. We're down in the basement of this restaurant making out.
How many times have you made out?
I go to the bathroom.
Other dudes, girls, while they were there.
Yeah, I'm a trash bag, bro. What do you want?
I say how many times? His answer was yes. Too many?
I'm a trash bag. It just, things happen. So I come back upstairs. They end up leaving. I never got her number. I don't know what the deal was.
She had a boyfriend.
It was weird. And she had a boyfriend. It was. I mean, she ended up making out with me in the basement of this restaurant. Like, whatever. Either way, I don't remember how we got to my car. I ended up throwing up all over the inside of my car. My buddy had to drive me home. It was a bad look. And then there was another time where I was drinking with a couple of my buddies. I ended up drinking so much so quickly that I ended up filling a wash tub sink. In your basement, you have your washer, your dryer, and then you have your wash tub. I filled that wash tub up with puke. From there, I went and I threw up in the toilet.
That sounds like you were,
and while throwing up,
like, risking dying.
Dude, I was a mess. And while throwing up in the toilet, I would throw up, flush. And what I ended up doing was I ended up miscounting my throwing up and my flushing, and I scooped water that I had just puked in the toilet to rinse my mouth out with. So it was like my own puke water from the toilet. Total mess. Anyways, I wanted to be part of the party. They ended up bringing me back into the party, and I just sat there with a bucket around my neck that I just kept throwing up in.
So
it was great.
I threw up. This is wildly off of the topic. This has been one of our least on the rails shows since I moved here, and I think it's been fun.
We don't do enough of these anymore.
I threw up. No, you're right. We do them less than we used to. I've only thrown up once from drinking. I was able to say for such a large portion of my life that I never threw up from drinking, but that changed. So for my first 6 or 7 months here, I was working till midnight, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And I still wanted to go out. And I went out this one time on a Saturday night. And Sundays I had to be back into work at 4 p.m. I was working 4 p.m. to midnight on Sundays. So I went out at midnight and I wanted to catch up. And I've never played catch up at midnight before. I've played catch up, but never that late. In about 45 minutes, I did 3 shots of tequila and 3 drinks. That's all I had the whole night. But I did it in 45 minutes. I know that's not a lot for you, Stroz. 3 shots of tequila and 3 drinks in 45 minutes is a lot.
So back in the day, I used to start my day off. I'd walk into the bar, and I would go to this bar so regularly. They would have 3 shots of tequila lined up and a beer waiting. And that was how I started. So, yeah, it's what it is, man.
And anyways, great night. I had a great time. But getting home, I as I was getting home, I knew I was just, I was going to regret it. I slept sitting up because I could tell that laying down was going to make me throw up. And I woke up probably every half hour and just felt drunk. We've had this conversation. I've never woke up in the morning drunk. I have woke up throughout the night drunk. That night, every half hour I woke up and felt I was just not in a good place. And then I got in the shower, which I later learned if you're super hungover, a hot shower is a terrible idea. And I was sitting in the shower, just had the hot water on me, sitting in the shower. I literally rolled out of the tub. I guess I could have just thrown up in the tub. I rolled out of the tub and threw up into the toilet, leaving the shower still on. And I basically, like you were saying, alternating throw up, flush. I think I threw up 4 or 5 times. And then I was good. But what sucked is like I couldn't eat. And I remember like getting to work at 4:00 and my body needed food so bad, but like I just couldn't. And I was like, thank God there's another dude there. I was like, look, man, I'm ordering a pizza. You can have half of it. I just need you to get it from me because like I need food in my body. Like I couldn't eat like crackers the next morning. And I have not gone as hard since, and I don't know if I ever will again.
Paulie contributes with a drinking story. He says he's going to DM us one of them, which it'll be good. It'll be nice and spicy. The second one, he says, let's just say 4 Locos, plural. Were you ever on the 4 Locos bandwagon? Did you ever do 4 Locos?
I am kind of surprised Paul had four Locos because I think we're the same age, and I want to say they like disappeared around the time that we turned 21. Now I know they since can't come back.
They were available, and then they were taken off the market immediately because it was killing kids. I think.
Because I think it was right around the time I was turning 21. Also, remember, I turned 21, and my drinking was pretty minimal. I didn't really start partying until 2.5 years ago.
So 2011, 2012 is when they were pulled.
Okay, so I was in high school, and I didn't drink at all before I turned 21. He said week before. Yeah, I know they come back. So that means the answer is he's done it recently.
Yeah.
I feel like I've calmed down a little bit. Stroz, I think we would have fun partying together.
We'd have a blast.
I can drink. I would not keep up with you, and I 1000% don't give in to peer pressure. You would not be able to push me to drink more than I wanted to.
Oh, here's the thing. I'm not a peer pressure.
That's good because I don't like that.
Like if you want to, you will. If you don't, you don't.
We'd have a good time.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
I am curious how we'd vacation because we'd be out like 3:00 in the morning, wherever. Like I don't know where I can think of off the top of my head. Vegas, 3:00 in the morning, and I'm probably ready to go to bed. And you're like, we're just getting started. But
yes, we'd get in trouble in Vegas for sure. But I do think we'd probably end up at the Spearmint Rhino.
I do think us just partying together would be fine. Stroz, I know you got stuff to do today. You only got a few hours left before the city shuts down, so I don't want to keep you here too long. Anything else you need to get out before we wrap the show?
Congratulations on your new gig. I'm happy for you. For those who don't know, B is now doing local Houston sports for 2 shows.
Yeah, it's
happy for
In the Trenches, which to convert to Eastern time would be 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then the Matt Thomas show from 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. It's been fun. Only 3 days in so far, but had a good time. And we'll update you whenever the showtime changes again. It very well may. But we're going to keep it live. It's been a good time. Love having you guys contribute live. And if you're not listening live, if you're listening back on the podcast, again, I don't even know what to say for the second segment because we barely talked about Quiet Cities. If you have anything to say about that second segment, at Brendan Riley _ at Adam R. Stroz. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. It's been the Practice Squad live.